Welcome to Shred Show, aka Surfboard Excitement on YouTube. I'm Chris, and this is the Siamese Palm Viper. You'll see this board on the cover of Surfer's Journal this month, beneath the feet of Dion Agius, doing a turn you can see here on video that looks like it was on MTV in the 90s. In fact, if you've seen Globe's new video, linked down below, entitled Strange Rumblings in Shangri-La, you've already seen Dion surf this board everywhere from Brazil to Madagascar to places so cold that even ice cubes crowd the lineup. We'll show more footage of Dion later, but first, big shakas and alohas to Max in Sydney, Elias in Los Angeles, Philip in Wellington, New Zealand, and everyone else who asked for this one in the Request a Board app at shredshow.com. And if you think shredshow.com looks like it was built without a budget, that's because shredshow.com was built without a budget. Shred Nation, you can always walk into a surf shop and start by giving your board a good rub down, because when you give a board a rub, it will start to tell you exactly what it wants to do with you in the ocean. You can feel the rails, you can feel the concaves on the bottom of the board. It's kind of like a language that you can decipher to understand kind of how a surfboard is going to feel when you get on it for the first time. But there's also some things that you just need eyeballs for, like checking out rocker. So Shred Nation, on a quick detour to understanding how this board might feel under your feet when you're surfing it, here's two tools that you can use either at home or at a surf shop. First, imagine that this table is the floor and you can set down your surfboard right on it. Then take another surfboard that you're ideally already surfing and set it down on the floor next to it. You then back up like 15 feet and get into a commando crawl position on the floor of the surf shop. And this angle of vision, if you're looking at the surfboard from behind like we are right now, gives you a very rough glance at the differences in tail rocker curve. For example, in this photo, you can see the Siamese Palm Viper at right curving up and away from the floor much more than the board to the left, because the Palm Viper has over a ½ inch more tail rocker. Now, aside from earning some confused looks from people who might be in the surf shop just looking for t-shirts or something, comparing boards from that vantage point could help you infer how different surfboards might feel, at least in terms of their rocker. For example, that could tell you that this board might feel like it pivots easier or fits into tighter carves on the wave with a little bit more release, whereas the lower tail rockered board might feel more connected to the water and drivey with a tendency to draw wider turns. Now, this board is 5 foot 11 inches long, and where things get really interesting is if we set it down on the floor one more time and put the Siamese Palm Viper in between two fairly standard shortboards that are both 6'2", we see that the tail rocker curve looks very similar across all three boards, even though the board at center, the Siamese Palm Viper, is a full 3 inches shorter and about a ½ inch wider than the boards left and right. So what does this all mean? It means that if you go home and pull out your rocker arm to get a little bit more accurate of a picture of what's going on, you see that this board packs roughly as much tail rocker curve as a moderately rockered standard shortboard. So for a board this short, there's a shit ton of rocker. So to understand what this much tail rocker might mean for your surfing, you can imagine paddling into a wave at your local beach break, and you get to your feet and the board does not feel like it gets up and goes quite as immediately when compared to, say, a board like Superbrand's Unit, because on this board your weight is distributed across a very curved surface, with curve happening very quickly between your front foot and the tailing edge of the surfboard. But when you drop down the wave and make your bottom turn, tipping your rail onto an edge, you could feel this board sucking up the face quicker and at a tighter angle, and getting up into the lip quicker than on that Superbrand Unit, because this enhanced angle creates a very tight track for you to angle up the face of the wave. This could be useful in situations like, say, you're at the bottom of a wave, about to start your bottom turn, or you're firing down the line and you see the lip pitching really quickly ahead of you. You're able to go hard on your back foot, get on a rail, and get up the face really fast to get to the lip, where you can do a floater or a turn or a fins free in the lip before the lip lands on your head. Look up close at the outline on this shape, and we can see that the wide point on this board is probably placed a little bit behind center, maybe about an inch. That's very different than a lot of other shorter and wider boards that place the wide point in front of center. Now, if you're a beginner to intermediate level surfer and you often find yourself popping up to your stance with your stance too far forward on the board, that's sometimes a symptom of paddling a surfboard with the wide point moved forward, because you can be moving your body weight way forward on the board to take advantage of all that width, and then when you pop up to your stance, you're not scooting back appropriately to get your back foot back on the traction pad. You may find that if you surf a board like this that has a wide point moved backward of center, you could find more of a tendency to paddle the board from further back, thus popping up more naturally with your back foot back on the pad and your front foot up center of the board. If you're an advanced surfer though, this wide point moved back coupled with a lot of tail rocker could mean something totally different. For example, if you're the type that has a more narrow stance, you could benefit from how the wide point is brought back beneath your front foot, and it could mean less shuffling around your stance for different positions on the wave, because it's kind of like the gas pedal and a really precise steering wheel are placed proportionately beneath each foot. And if you're the type that has really good like kinesthetic knowledge of how your body movements affect board movements, you could really take advantage of this kind of precise design to do things that other surfboard models just wouldn't let you get away with. With one more look at the outline, we can see that in the forward 12 inches of the board, it comes into a very pointy nose. There's really no attempt to keep any extra width up in the nose. There's a lot of outline curve running from center all the way out to the tip. In the tail, we can see a very slight bump happening right here to eliminate width and draw in the tail. And if we look at the foil really quick, we can see that it acts very similar to how a shortboard would act. It takes away thickness very quickly, moving to the tail, and we see the same thing happening in the nose. All this could clue you into the fact that any groveling power you have with this shape when the waves are really small will come from either your ability to skillfully work this rocker template to generate your own speed, or really nailing your front foot placement to get it right over this wide point on the board. That's because everything else on this shape seems to be geared towards precise maneuverability. Single concave, deep single concave, but not super deep. Double concave through the fins, double concave continues, V behind the thruster fin. To wrap this up, we can see how this shape might make sense if you're Dion Agius, because if you think about what he's known for, he's not known for his big power hacks or his heavy lead foot. He's known for these really light and lively flicks up in the lip and big rotational airs. And this width under front foot can contribute speed to hit those sections with, while this much tail rocker in such short of a board can contribute a lot of rotational release up above the lip. Now, even though this board falls into that shorter, wider category, often associated with smaller waves and easy surfing, I think most surfers would probably have the most fun on this board in waves about chest high to a couple feet overhead, and it probably suits intermediate advanced to advanced surfers best. If you're around the intermediate level, the great thing is you could easily get on this shape and immediately feel how it feels different from other boards. Your surfing just likely wouldn't benefit from it the same way, and you might have more fun on something like a super brand Vapors or the new Unit. Shred Nation, that is it for this episode. To see more footage of this board being surfed by Dion all over the world, click down below and see Globe's new movie. You'll also find a link down there to watch the preview for that flick as well. As always, we hope the waves are up in whatever part of the world you call home, and we'll see you soon on Shred Show.